May I speak in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So put on your make-believe hats, if you will, for just a second, and imagine going to your mailbox tomorrow and finding one of those letters from that beautiful stationery, the envelope, Baruti and O'Toole Law Office. It's certified mail or one of those sticky post office things with the barcode, and you have to sign it, and they tear it off and take it. And it's a letter from a long-lost aunt or uncle informing you that you have inherited it all of it. Millions and millions of dollars. What are you going to do with all that money? Are you going to buy a new house or an island on which to live all by yourself? You're going to buy that new Cadillac that you wanted to drive around, or a fabulous motorized scooter? Or are you going to know that you are secure and taken care of for the rest of the time here on earth? What are you going to do? More importantly, how is life going to be for you, knowing that you are secure? How are you going to live your life? What decisions are you going to make now, knowing there are few things to worry about? You're going to give some of that money to the church, you're going to give it away, change lives that way. What kind of decisions are you going to make, knowing you've inherited all of it? It is the same scenario, I think, that the Apostle Paul is trying to say this morning in his writing. Note the language he uses. For you didn't receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but a spirit of adoption. When you call out Abba, Daddy, it is that very Spirit bearing witness within our spirit. We are children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint, don't miss that word, joint heirs with Christ. God considers us co-heirs with the Son, equal inheritors of all of it. All of the blessing, all of the love, all of the grace. If you don't hear anything else in the rest of what I'm going to say, take that home with you. It is enough. It is the good news we all need and want to hear. Everyone doesn't get one of those letters, as we know. Everyone doesn't have all those gifts and that security. We're doing our part to make a difference in the community. We're partnering with 3 other Episcopal churches and a school, working with Habitat for Humanity, just 3/4 of a mile down York Road. Some of you have already been there working on some of those row houses, and we're sponsoring one house. And so yesterday we went down to bless that house. I got to lead that service, which is always fun to bless things. I get to bless you every week. I bless relationships. I bless animals. I bless houses. I blessed a red pickup one time for an outreach project. But I've never blessed a house that is under construction. They've always been finished when we sprinkle holy water and incense them. Yesterday, though, we gathered out while it's still under construction. And we said our prayers outside, blessed the door with branch and water, and then we went inside with our Sharpies. Big fat ones, those Magnum ones that smell really good. And we went on the studs, the 2x4s, and the masonry side. It's a row house, so that brick was covered in mortar. And we wrote prayers and songs and peace over the doorways. Prayers everywhere. Anything anybody could think of that would instill this house with a mom and her daughter and her mother, 3 generations, to live in, to inherit the goodness of their future. And so I'm standing there with a woman from Good Shepherd who we've been working with on this project, and I said, gosh, I really wish that my own house had prayers written all over the studs of its walls underneath the plaster. And she said, how do you know it doesn't? How do you know it doesn't? What if we all lived our lives as if those prayers and blessings were written on our bones before our very being? If we lived and operated and made choices in our homes as if the studs of the walls already had prayer written on them? How do you live your life differently because you have inherited that blessing from God? What decisions do you make differently because you are a joint heir with Christ? Now, last week was a little different around here. We had a great service at Pentecost last week when the Spirit was present. And it goes all the way back to March 1st. Some of you may remember. It was one of those cold days and it snowed on the night before, and we clergy types were on Facebook trying to decide if we were going to have services or not. I was about to cancel them, and then we realized that this baptism and people were here from Colorado, and so we went ahead with it. It turned out it was the highest attendance of the winter. And before the service, I went back and turned the video camera on, and there was a fellow sitting back there, and so I welcomed him and said, "Are you here for the baptism?" "You know I'm a Moravian." And I said, "Well, we like your cookies." And so then he said, well, actually I'm Lutheran right now. And I said, well, even better, we're in full communion with the Lutheran Church, the ELCA. And I didn't think anything of it. I told him where the newcomer card was. And after the service, a beautiful baby who was baptized, Lily in the back, waiting for Lily. It worked. And so I greeted this person. The vestry member came up to me and said, "I think you need to talk more to Jeff." And so I did, and he said they were discerning at the Church of the Holy Comforter down in Govins, half a mile south of here. And I said, "We're all discerning, right? This is good." "No, we're really discerning." I said, "Oh, we don't know what God is calling us to do next. We can't keep up our building any longer. It is too expensive. Our tenant has moved out, and we don't have the money to continue the way we've been doing, and we're wondering if we might join with another congregation." "Oh," I said, "we need to discern with you and listen more." And on March 17th, their pastor came and sat in my office. We had coffee, and March the 17th is St. Patrick's Day, but it's also the 2-year anniversary of my time with you all. And right after I got here, as we were doing our work together, I made this crazy, audacious goal that we would double the size of our congregation in 2 years. And we were at 50 when I got here, and we were at 66 by then, which is 30%. Pretty good. Not double. Except that the day that David Eisenman came and sat in my office and said, "Well, we might bring our congregation to join yours on the 2-year anniversary, it would double the size of our congregation." For 2 years, I've been racking my brain as to what we're supposed to do here. What is our vision? Praying, listening, asking you all, asking consultants and clergy and bishops what we're supposed to do here. And that cold never touched my lips. I never quite figured out what it was supposed to be, except that I kept hearing this voice that said, "Get ready for something big to happen. Get ready for something big to happen." And last week, those Lutheran brothers and sisters came and worshiped with us. We celebrated Pentecost. We worshiped together. We had lunch together. We didn't throw food at each other. It turns out they can preach, they can sing, they can cook. Great trifle. You had that trifle and the chopped salad. It was really good. And they know how to wash dishes. It was good stuff. The Spirit showed up in lots of different ways. Mainly by you showing us who you were, welcoming the stranger, being present to what the Spirit might be calling us to do from the very inner blessings of our lives and of our values. For them, it was a taste of new life. They smiled as if we had not seen before. Even though they may be leaving their building, a place where they have experienced God regularly, they are being reborn to a new vision, to a new mission. And perhaps that is what we have been waiting for as well. Perhaps, like Nicodemus needing to be reborn, we are the same. I grew up in the South, and constantly you would get that question from your Southern Baptist youth group friends of, when were you saved? And my answer usually was when we were all saved and he died on the cross and we rose. We were all saved together the same day. But for me, it is that I was saved yesterday, I've already been forgiven and saved today, and I will be saved again and reborn again tomorrow. It is a constant process, and so we are together. We never know what may happen if we live our lives out, that we are blessed and who God calls us to be, receiving that grace, and then responding to what the Spirit has in store for us. So I'll give you one more story. I know there are lots of stories today, sorry, just try to connect them. But I worked at St. Margaret's in Annapolis before this, and after the rector went on sabbatical, I suddenly had to take charge, since he wasn't there, of the cemetery. If anybody's ever tried to administer a cemetery with some graves back to the 1800s and some slave graves and 3 or 4 acres of property that's all on a legal-sized sheet of paper with pencil for the deeds and the plots, it's a challenge. It's very difficult. And so one summer afternoon, Mr. Willard died. And Mr. Willard had a plot, and his parents were clearly there. And we had to find where his plot was. And so we called Mr. Carroll, and we've got an old cemetery like that. Every grave is hand dug. And so Mr. Carroll's charism and gift for ministry is digging graves. And he said, Father Lucas, we got a problem. And I said, oh? And he said, there's not any space for Mr. Willard. And I said, well, what? This is his plot on this little thing with pencil. And he said, no, I poked that prod down there. And he said, that's a pine box. That's Miss Willard. I said, oh. I said, well, what do you suggest we do? And he said, well, it's not a good idea. You're never supposed to bury anybody in the path. If you've ever administered a cemetery, that's kind of a bad thing. If you're in the path, it's like a no-no. And I said, well, I don't have any other answers. I mean, the funeral's in a couple days, but we got to bury Mr. Willard. He said, Father Lucas, I'll do it for you. I said, okay. So Mr. Willard is buried a little bit in the path. And may he rest in peace. And so things were fine. We had a service. St. Margaret's is very good at welcoming people and doing funerals and hospitality, and just like you are. And so that was lovely. And I didn't know Mr. Willard, and I preached my Easter sermon. When you don't know somebody, you kind of go with the flow. And so 3 or 4 weeks later, I got one of those envelopes on the free stationery from the attorney. It was certified that the secretary had signed, and in there was a letter saying that we'd been remembered for $100,000 from Mr. Willard's estate. And I went to my secretary. I said, I sure am glad we found space for Mr. Willard in that cemetery. You never know when acting out of the blessings of God's grace and abundance and love, what will happen in your life. What people you will affect, what change you will affect in systems, and how you can bring about the love of God. For me, I think our next step in vision will be part of welcoming this Lutheran congregation, if they decide they want to come with us, to be part of a new vision being reborn anew. We have space in our hearts and in our building. It is exciting stuff, and I'm grateful for the way you show me the blessings written on your bones now and always. Amen.